the next number on my Doctor Who Guilty Pleasures Containment Marathon is Series 2. And my guilty pleasure from that series, School Reunion, the third episode of Series 2. First broadcast on the 29th of April 2006. In this particular episode, acting on a tip-off from Rose's boyfriend Mickey Smith, played by Noel Clarke, the Doctor, played here by David Tennant, and his companion Rose Tyler, end up investigating Deathly Vale School, a secondary school where there's recently been UFO activity, and the students have, around the same time, began getting record results, record marks. The Doctor and Rose go undercover within Deathly Vale as a teacher and a dinner lady to try and find out what's going on, but in the process, they end up running into previous classic series companion Sarah Jane Smith, played by Elizabeth Sladen. And they also discover that the headmaster, Mr. Finch, played by Anthony Head, he and the other teachers are creatures known as Krillitanes and are planning to use the children's brains and specifically their imagination to crack the Skasis paradigm, a theory that would, if cracked, allow them control over reality. So it's down to the Doctor, Rose, Mickey, Sarah Jane, her robot dog K9, voiced by John Leeson, and a kid named Kenny, who somehow manages to avoid the process, to find a way to stop the Krillitanes and ultimately save the world. Now, as mentioned, this episode sees the return of Sarah Jane Smith, played by Elizabeth Sladen, a character who became popular in the 1970s and is actually thought of as one of the most iconic Doctor Who companions. Now, she had previously made her final appearance in Classic Who in 1976 with the fourth Doctor episode, The Hand of Fear, a story that I have yet to see and have yet to put up a review for. Maybe if I do someday, I'll put it up here and we can all have a talk about it. But, as I said, her final appearance in the official canon was in the episode The Hand of Fear, although she did later return briefly to fill out in the 20th anniversary episode The Five Doctors in 1983, where it's stated there that she's already left the Doctor, but she ends up running into his previous incarnation, played by Jon Pertwee. Now, Anthony Head as a villain, I remember seeing this episode back in 2006, and I thought it was good. I enjoyed it, but since in recent years, since I've finished watching Merlin and finished watching Buffy, I have a much greater appreciation for him in this role. I have heard people say Anthony Head would make a good Doctor, and maybe, but I think he does well here as a villain. Just his moments, the moments in the episode where he and David Tennant are essentially discussing what their plans are in the school pool room, just you can cut the tension in that scene with a knife, a butter knife. Both of these, you can feel the kind of electricity in the air, and as he just smugly remarks to the Doctor, "You don't know what our plan is. Well, show me how clever you are. Work it out." And just how he can go from playing someone who's doesn't necessarily like people, but is just trying to do his best in Merlin, someone who's kind of entirely good, but does have his darker moments in Buffy, and just a full-on straight villain here. Anthony Head, he is an actor. He can do it all, and he plays a great villain here. It's also nice, as I said, to see the return of Elizabeth Sladen, and K9, voiced by John Leeson. Now, this would eventually prove so popular that 1 year later, Sarah Jane and K9 would eventually get spin-offs at the Sarah Jane Adventures, which would last from 2007 until Sladen's sudden death in 2011. So, yeah, if this hadn't been as successful, then maybe they wouldn't have had a chance to continue the adventures of Sarah Jane, but it's here, and frankly, I love it. It is also a nice bit of character development for Noel Clarke, played by Mickey Smith, played by Noel Clarke. Now, in the first series, he was very much the kind of, he wanted to do well with Rose, but then he was also kind of a scaredy cat and was frequently at odds with Christopher Eccleston's Doctor. But here, they really kind of show him and build him up until eventually Sarah J asked him, "What's your role in this?" He's like, "I'm the man on the ground. I'm the technical support. I'm the oh god, I'm the Tin Dog," and just that. And then by the end of it, when he asked, "Look, can I come? I don't want to be the Tin Dog anymore. I want to generally see what's out there." And I was like, all right. I mean, he wouldn't end up staying around forever. He would only end up staying around for another 3 episodes. But you know what? It's good to see Mickey can be built up and eventually join the TARDIS crew. So, you know what? I love it. That's it. This is still fairly on in the 10th Doctor's cycle, and when I first saw it through, I don't know if I was quite sure about him yet, but in watching him through, it's nice to see. And also another moment I have to talk about when Sarah Jane finally meets up with the Doctor again, in the gym in the middle of the night, and they have that discussion. It's beautiful. Just a one moment of her kind of backing away, realizing what must have happened, and then seeing him and recognizing him from the staff meeting. It's like, "Hello, Sarah Jane. Oh God, it's you." And just, I mean, apparently Elizabeth Sladen wasn't that big a fan of this episode, not because she thought it was bad, but because she injured herself fairly early on. From what I've heard, she injured herself fairly early on and therefore couldn't act her heart out as much as she wanted to. But then also David Tennant said he liked it because he was fanboying the entire time, which is kind of nice to see. So, yeah, what do I think of this episode? Well, I mean, it does still show its age in places. For example, when the children who are plugged in to kind of try and crack the code, it's very clear this is from the kind of mid 2000s, as the monitors that the children are using on the computers, they're big chunky monitors as opposed to today where everything's kind of flat screen. So yeah, it has aged a little poorly, but aside from that, you know what? It's fun. It's fun. It's frantic. Anthony Head is a great villain. It's great to see Elizabeth Sladen return to the show, and it's just a fun ride. So what's the next number on my list? Well, the next number I've got random number on my Guilty Pleasures marathon to come up is Series 11, and my personal favourite one for that one is The Witchfinders. Now, technically, The Witchfinders is recent enough that I have actually done a review on it, but considering that review is now 2 years old, my opinions of it might have changed. So I'll still do one for the Guilty Pleasures marathon. So the next one to look forward to, The Witchfinders. But I thought School Reunion was pretty good. Anyway, until then, see ya.